space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim. With me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon! Move along, Dragon.
And we're here to talk about the latest episode of Lower Decks, and we're back to how we like to do things, which is an episode of Lower Decks, and then another episode that it's led us to.
Yeah, an episode.
Oh,
and
what a well
this week, it's a notorious episode. We're going to be talking about Move Along Home.
I read an intro. I was, you know, when you start looking for stuff and all that, because I look for screenshots to do the thumbnail, so it pulls up articles and all sorts sometimes. And there was one of them as a meme. It goes, "What's worse than no one watching your absolute best episode? It's absolutely everyone watching your worst."
You know, I wouldn't mind, but, you know, I mean, still, I don't know why I do it to myself, but I still try and use the Paramount app, even though it is buggy as hell. We'll talk about the content in a bit because we were going to talk about it, but it's the fact that now, according to Paramount, because we already watched Move Along Home, or I did before the When Trek Goes Wrong panel, because we talked about it briefly there. Now, according to Paramount Plus, my favorite episodes are all the Dominion War and Move Along Home. Thanks, Retrek.
Yeah, it's like when you start
watching that episode. He just keeps watching it.
It's like you start watching an episode of something that turns out to be really crap on Netflix, and then it's in you continue watching forever. Yeah, you're like, can't I get rid of it?
You can remove it now. There is an option because
there we go then.
Because some other people signed in my account a few times, and it was like, Stuart, I don't want everyone to think I watched like that 70s show on repeat. It's like, it's not my cup of tea.
Exactly. Ridiculous. Anyway, before we get into the episodes, we talked about it last week, but we were still under an embargo. But we do actually have some...
We've got a banner for a reason.
I know we've got a banner. I was going to talk while you put the banner up, and it was going to look seamless.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
I just want to
get the banner up. Put the banner up.
Go and say
No, I want the banner.
Put it up at the same time. Let's do it at the same time.
No, I want the banner first now.
I love it when we go together.
Right. We do have some Retrek news.
Flawless. No one noticed a thing.
There we go. Those of you listening on audio, we now have a little banner that says Retrek News going along the bottom of the screen.
It's just me getting to the right screen to put up the banners.
So our news is we are going to be appearing at the Sci-Fi Weekender next March, where we will be doing twice.
Headliner guests.
We are on the poster.
I'm not sure if Sarah Jane, who we're going to see next week, Madam Misfit, is watching or has seen the poster, but we are billed above her.
We are.
And if she's not watching now, I will mention it next week.
And whether she's watching or not, we agree it is wrong. We're
not quite sure how we wound up on the poster, but the fact is
I'm going to get some mileage out of it.
Should we get t-shirts made with just that poster with us on it? That'd be pretty cool.
And just in case the people who put the post together, or Sam and Dave from SFW, it's not a lack of gratitude. It's just a sincere admiration for the other acts.
No, absolutely. And, you know, it's fantastic. So we're nothing but grateful. We're just having a bit of a laugh with it. But
we can tell you what we're going to be doing. The title. We can tell you the title, but we're not going to ruin it by telling you what the content will be.
Which one of the titles?
Oh, there's many titles.
Our title.
No, so basically they're putting on a new kind of like a yearly thing, which is going to be called Behind the Cipher. And then we've got our title of what we're doing as part of it.
Yeah.
Just to clarify any kind of confusion. So it's not Doctor Who based, even though Behind the Sofa, it's kind of a tribute to Fiang Wen, who sadly passed away during over the pandemic from COVID. So it's a bit of a tribute to her because she used to do an act called Behind the Sofa. So just to clarify any confusion.
She did do a really good Star Trek part, actually.
She did, yes.
She did. It was amazing. Yeah.
I got to play a red shirt while I had my bad back, so I couldn't dive on the floor.
I remember, yeah. So the idea we think is that it's going to be a chance for different people to contribute different things over the years. But they've been kind enough to ask us to do the first one to kick it off. And we are going to be doing Retrek Presents When Trek Goes Wrong at the Movies. Which, if anyone saw us just about a year ago now, coming up on a year ago at the Sci-Fi Weekend.
There is some of it on our YouTube.
There is some on our YouTube. We did When Trek Goes Wrong, where we talked about a number of the less successful episodes.
Move Along Home.
Including Move Along Home briefly. And we're doing a sequel to that where we're going to talk about the movies and when the movies went wrong. Now, I'm sure that...
Can I give one little clue that we may fix some of it?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to see if we can make it go right or go righter.
And no spoilers, but there might be 2 movies if you mention you're just wrong. I mean, we will get audience participation, but there's 2 movies you're just wrong about if you say Trek went wrong in any way during them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as, in terms of hit to miss rate, it's weird because I'd say Star Trek as a TV show, even though there's been 800 odd episodes, there's more hits than misses, whereas the films there's been 13 and there's arguably been more misses than hits, which is
I think on the hit ones we're gonna have to just so we kind of make it fair, we're just gonna have to bring up blooper or technical errors.
That was good. You mentioning
if we get through all the movies, there's quite a lot of movies now to fit into 45 minutes. We may only get through 3 or 4 of them.
Well, I can give you an example. Star Trek 6. Yeah, okay, perfect movie. But in the scene in the galley, why the hell have they got a phaser bank in the middle of the kitchen? That's my one.
Have you ever worked in a kitchen? That's all I've got to say, and I did used to work in kitchens.
And we will also be putting together a workshop all about podcasting. So if you're interested in podcasting, all we can tell you is how to do a podcast as professional as this one. So take that with whatever pinch of salt you want. But we will certainly tell you how to make a podcast and how to put it on the internet.
Yeah,
that is all we are guaranteeing.
For those who listen to us that don't watch us, I do regularly sit here with a glass of wine in one hand and a cig in the other.
And if you've seen any of our solo work, you'll know that it's not any of us putting the others down. We are all as professional as one another.
Absolutely. So we're gonna.
I've got to say, Elliot's Retrek Model Studios is pretty pro. It's pretty.
Yeah, that is professional. That's the professional part of our empire.
It's me and you, Jim, dragging him down.
That's it. But so we'll be running a bit of a workshop on how to do podcasts. Got some ideas what we're going to do there, and we'll be doing When Trek Goes Wrong at the Movies. So if you want to come on down to the Sci-Fi Weekender, we would love to see you there. I believe there's still tickets available, but there's some competitions running. Give that a bash. Anyway,
there are rumours if you enter the competition, you do win.
There is data. There is a trend of data that would suggest that. But anyway, so
I think our group of 6 had about 30 tickets one year because of entering it.
May well have done. Anyway, so that's what we'll be doing at the Sci-Fi Weekender in March. We'll tell you a lot more about it as we get closer to the time.
If I have my new camera by then, we will be filming the whole thing.
There we go. So, first thing to talk about then is the very short treks which have been popping up. And yeah, these are good fun.
They're a couple of minutes of fun. I'll tell you what isn't fun about them.
Oh, go on.
Paying £6.99 a fucking month for Paramount Plus and having to search for them on YouTube.
Yes.
Not on Paramount Plus.
I mean, Jesus, they really want to just shoot themselves in the dick on Paramount Plus. Just talk about failed launches. Sorry, Elliot, I think you had more. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I was just off to say, I purely signed up for Paramount Plus for Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
They keep taking content off. They're not putting some new content on with Prodigy. The Star Trek Day, they tried to pretend it no longer exists. They were celebrating animated, and it didn't even get a mention. We've got new short treks. They're not on there. It's crazy.
I was just going to say, I mean, like, you can go right back to the launch. They launched with episodes of Next Generation missing. Some of their other Star Trek shows were already licensed out to other people. They should have, like, it would only have cost them a few months of waiting to have all the content in on the same day.
And aside from Star Trek, they put Cheers in the wrong order.
Yeah, which I think's been sorted now. But
it has been sorted now, but
you know,
yeah, they're two flagship. Let's face it, Star Trek is their main flagship, and I'd say the Cheers-averse is very up there. Like sitcoms always do really well, and those are sitcom royalty. Cheers and Frasier, Frasier reboot coming up soon. They've got a few other kind of big hit shows like Murder She Wrote and a few other bits, but Yellowstone did really well. But let's face it. Star Trek is your bread and butter. That is
Star Trek. They admit Star Trek is their flagship show, their flagship franchise. Mm-hmm. So why the fuck can't they get it all on there?
And I think they might actually be the one of the oldest studios, if not the oldest in America, and certainly I think the oldest surviving one. Correct me if I'm wrong on those, but certainly up there for that.
Yeah, and it's been going a good while.
And me and Jim were sort of chatting back and forth about Apple versus Paramount. It's which one's the worst? My only argument is Apple are new to TV, and they've got every episode of all their shows up.
Yeah,
going for 100 years, is it now?
Yeah, but that isn't actually a major achievement for someone like Apple who hasn't got a lot of shows.
No, that's the thing with Apple.
A lot of big
Apple, pound for pound. In terms of quality, I think Apple is one of the best ones because just about everything is really, really good. But the problem is it's so limited that you can literally subscribe to a month, a year, and watch everything and then pick it up again in a year's time, which is fine. Paramount has tons of content, but the way they present it is very bad. And the omissions are just beyond a joke, to be honest, which includes these short treks. It includes Prodigy. It includes the regular short treks. They still haven't put the 4K version of the motion picture director's cut on there, even though it's been widely available. And I'm happy to buy the Blu-ray, but I should have the option of watching it on a streaming service that purports to have everything.
At £7 a month, that was sold to me as a Star Trek fan for Paramount Plus. That's literally why I bought it. It should have my content there. The flagship show.
Yeah, it is ludicrous. They just, I just don't know how. I'm sorry, the oldest studio in the business should have learned a trick or two along the way.
Yeah.
They should have kept up with streaming and what it meant and known all the other stuff. They're the only service to have launched with so many large gaps in the audience. I think in America, HBO, when they first launched their first one, had a similar problem because of everything being licensed out. But really, Paramount, again, they only had to wait a few months, whereas HBO had some longer term deals, which took longer to land. So they would have had to lay half a year, something like that. Paramount didn't have that issue. They were all set to run out.
I almost wonder, because of the amount of content that's missing from Paramount's back library as well, we've never had on, and stuff keeps getting dropped from the service very quickly. And if they've bought second-hand servers, if they haven't got decent enough servers to all the content that they have in storage, Like they bought the old Blockbuster servers from when Netflix first bought
Yeah,
it.
or is it Warner Brothers that's apparently lost Aquaman 2 in its servers somewhere?
Really?
And there was a thing about a week ago. I don't know. I mean, they've released a trailer, so presumably they've found it. But apparently there was a worry at some point that they'd lost the master file of the film. So, anyway.
Because the thing is, like, at least you can say with someone like with Apple, it's the same as with Amazon. Basically, they can they've got so much money, they can basically offer, the TV as a thing to sell their devices. Like if you buy the device, you get 6 months free, whatever else. Hopefully people say subscribe, but essentially they can just use it to move other goods. Prime, same kind of thing. They sort of use it as an added extra for you to get Prime for delivery.
Yeah.
With Paramount, their only business is TV, and they're not doing very well. I'm sorry, but that does seem like the first service which is going to get folded into another one or sell their content.
Yeah.
And please just do it now. I'm sorry, you guys cannot do streaming. You proved it time and time again. Enough's enough.
No,
just fold in with Netflix. Netflix needs a bit of help. You've got like the guns. You can merge.
Yeah, just bolster another one with it. Anyway, let's talk about the short treks, which are not on Amazon.
Are we just doing the first
sorry,
two?
are not on
Are we
Paramount.
going to just talk about the first two because the third one's literally just dropped to give people a chance to watch it?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Two this week, two next, and then
Yeah, we
one a
should
week.
probably give people the chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one was the bloopers one, where Spock decides he's going to show everybody bloopers. I thought it was really good fun, and a brilliant line is where they say a blooper reel should not have an in memoriam section.
I mean, I'm just going to say it. I like it. All it took was to put Ethan Peck's Spock into animation, and he was perfectly logical all the way through.
Yeah.
That's the most logical I've seen the character being yet. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, no, it's hilarious.
I just thought it was a few good gags in there, really good fun. The second one, I thought the captain was almost like a parody of Trump, where just the way he started talking.
It was almost like the tired. I'm going to
then-
say it was almost like the tired date, actually.
Yeah, because it was kind of weird. It didn't feel like a Shatner. It felt like Kirk.
No, well, he was listed as Starship Captain, not as Kirk.
Yeah.
So
because it was like I am right. That was.
Yeah, I thought they might have got Paul Wesley for it.
yeah, I thought that, but they haven't. So I'm not sure if it is meant to be Kirk. And it almost did make me a little bit uncomfortable with the bit where he's saying like, "Oh, whatever you say these days, someone seems to pop up and be angry at it." And I was like, is this having a go at sort of perceived woke culture, which would be a very non-Star Trek thing to do?
To be fair, it's not actually woke culture that are annoyed at everything that comes
No,
out.
that's true.
It's actually the right wing who have this thing where everything upsets them and want to cancel everything.
Well,
it's nothing. It is not woke is the right wing use woke for some stupid reason, but it's them who have the cancel culture.
In all fairness, I think. I mean, sorry, I hate the whole. There's good people on both sides, obviously, but
very good people.
I think there's some people who do push cancel culture for kind of things that people have said on the left too far. But the right, yeah, they use it as if they don't do it, but they do it just as much, if not more.
If not more.
But I do think there are people on both ends.
It's right wing who go out on who set up YouTube channels to start blowing up Barbie dolls and all that because they didn't like Barbie.
Yeah,
it's the right wing that goes out and we're not going to buy Bud Light. Right? How shall we protest? We'll buy cases and cases and cases and cases of it, so we can shoot it every day. Yeah, that's showing it to them, innit? Well done, lads.
But if I can just to the left of it though, like there are. I think it started off with good reason to sort of like hold people accountable, but it does get to the point whereby if someone's done a tweet 20 years ago and they've already apologized for it, like with Kevin Hart. To begin with, I thought he should have just apologized again, but then I was like, well, he's already apologized. We've already moved on. Surely, like, do we never forgive anyone? And I think this kind of parody's a bit of both sides. I don't think it's
and you made a really good point, Squee, in the chat that we had, that is this maybe a nod to, because it's stylized like the original series, is this maybe their sort of winky, noddy way of saying, look, we know some of the stuff in there doesn't hold up to modern standards. We're aware of it, but we're not going to go back and change it. And if that's what this is, I think that's really nice. I think that's a really good way of acknowledging it. Because no one's going to watch the original series, and for all the progressive stuff it did, there's some very questionable stuff still in there. And
it's like we've said many a time, it was made in the 60s.
Exactly.
And things have moved on. You can't judge things. It's like you can't judge 60s TV is probably not actually as bad as 70s TV was.
No, that's a fair point.
Because 70s went really, really bad at times with racism and sexism.
And I think that's the point that I was making, is like this does feel like it might just be a little bit of an acknowledgement of that, and just, lampshading it a little bit, saying, we know that.
Well, lampshading it, like, that's not a way to do a Chinese impression. That was not cool. Lampshading it meant something very different back then.
Okay. See, that's it now. I'm going to get cancelled in 20 years.
If anyone's mad at me for saying that did happen in every bloody sitcom. Like, they actually repeated an old episode of Watching. I don't know if you remember that sitcom.
Oh, God, yeah.
But anyway, they literally had someone at the end of the episode. The guy put on a lampshade, did his teeth look funny, and it was painful. I'd like, oh my God, you're repeating this? Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to mention something else then.
I thought it also was taking the mickey out of what the monsters of the week often look like.
Yes, I think there's a bit of that as well.
I think it's all of the above, really. I think it's
a mixture of all of it.
Yeah, they've really thought about this, and they haven't. Again, I think what they've done very cleverly is they've not aimed it at one group as a target. They've just made it general. So, like, I'm sure right-wing Trekkies, which I still don't get how that exists, but still, I think they can see it and choose what they see in it as well. Like, they probably won't get everything the writers intended, but I think clever writing sometimes does that, makes it so.
Yeah, that's it.
Only for a little comedy thing like this, you want everyone just to be able to have a laugh.
And it's very clever writing for just a couple of minutes. I have seen the third one, but Elliot's right. We'll hold off on talking about that, because it's literally dropped within the last hour or so as we record this.
It is on YouTube, so you don't.
It is on YouTube.
Just search short treks.
Oh, very short treks. Sorry, it's me that keeps calling them short treks.
No. If you search on YouTube, short treks. There
we go then.
Can I just also on the first one, because we sort of like went past very quickly. I know we're sort of like eating into time, but just I want to say, lovely to see Hemner back, and I thought it's just so nice to see how in both of them they've replicated the original style of the animated series. Like, sometimes when they do that effect, it works better than others. You've seen it just. It looks like a forced effect. This just looked exactly like the animated.
Yeah, it looked great. It looked brilliant.
Delicious. And seeing Hemner back is always good.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good that they keep bringing him back.
And a little nod to Saru.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I just want them to do, like you say, Elliot, like just continuing what you were saying earlier and tying into this. I do hope they do at least one with Lower Decks where they kind of reference Prodigy, because they're the ones most apt to do it and call out something which is happening. I hope they manage to find a way of doing that with them. Like, again, I sort of get it. And maybe they don't want to advertise it because they're trying to sell it somewhere else, so they want to be. Well,
this is the thing. I don't want.
I'm not being funny, but if you're not talking about the content and trying to make people forget that the content's there, how are you going to sell it to someone?
Yeah,
I'm more thinking
what you actually need is people to have season one still on your platform and people clamoring, we want more of this, and then going to someone, look, here it is. Do you want to buy it, to show them?
But if they're going to sell it to someone tomorrow, I think the idea is you take it off your platform, so it's like you'll have exclusive. Series. Yeah. So while the deal's happening, sometimes you do have to be a bit. That's the only logical reason I can think. Because otherwise, if it's not that, it's fucking mad. But that kind of would make some sense. There's certain things about like sometimes timing of when it's been on your service to go to another. So if people have been hungry for it for a few months, they might be using that as a selling point.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can think of. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, let's crack on then with an episode that is on Paramount Plus for a change. The latest episode of Lower Decks, in the Cradle of Vexilon. And Vexilon, we find out, is this supercomputer that runs this society on a mega structure.
I was about to go to the mega structure first.
Yeah.
This is the first time in Star Trek we see a ring world.
That's true, actually, yeah.
And I think this is the most, like, it's up there for the most episodes we could have done before, like, because when you guys were messaging before I'd seen it, you didn't give any spoilers, but you were saying, it's like, Jim was going, I think we know which one we're going to do this week. If you watched it, Ellie goes, yep, I think I do. You know, because you guys knew I hadn't seen it, so you didn't say anything. So as I was watching, I was going, oh, of course they can do because it's a weather station, and you know, they can do the soccer one, as they call it, with Worf. That makes sense. Oh, no, wait a minute. They've got a bag from the episode with Troy. Oh, okay, we're going to go back and do that episode with Roxana, where she gets married. Oh, fuck. That was the order of my expectation. Did you guys, like, pick any others before you got to, like...
No, it had to be that one, didn't it? I mean, there was a few we could have done.
I thought about the one with the bag. I didn't think about the one with the bag.
Yeah, when that was on, the Betazoid gift box, yeah.
I was just wondering before we got to Move Along Home.
To be honest, I'd already made up my mind that we were doing Move Along Home when I saw the trailer for the season.
Yeah.
Oh, did it feature in that?
There's a little clip in the trailer, in the season trailer that we were watching a month or so ago, and I decided then that when this episode dropped, whichever one it was.
Oh, God, did we do it on the show? I must have forgotten if I did see it. I know I avoided clips and stuff, but I probably did watch the trailer at the time, just forgot.
Yeah, I tend to always watch the trailer, but...
I probably did.
I tend to watch the season trailer, but then I will make a point of... I have no idea what I'm getting to see tomorrow. I've been really good. I've actually had to stop going on some Star Trek groups that I used to go on to avoid the spoilers, but that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make. And if they don't like the spoilers on their pages, then I'm not going on their pages.
Damn right.
So yeah, the ring structure is pretty cool. We've seen a Dyson sphere, which is similar, but you're right, we've not seen a ring world.
A Dyson sphere, though, we could, if we had the money, we could physically build a Dyson sphere. Mm-hmm. But we couldn't build a ring world because we haven't got the materials to hold the structure together.
Yeah, it blew my mind when I heard that the Dyson sphere was an actual theory. Like, for years I was watching Relic and I had no idea.
It's the thing.
Yeah, Dyson sphere, we could, in theory, build one now if we had this infrastructure to do it. But we could not build a ring world because you need the weights involved and the gravitation. It needs more exotic metals than what we have.
We will build a Dyson sphere and we will make the Moopsies pay for it.
I just love the fact that there's so many, like, in Star Trek, there's so many, like, either just made up terms or terms which are extrapolated from natural scientific theory, like, you know, the Heisenberg condensate is one we talk about lots. But, when it's like Dyson sphere, oh, that's a real thing, that's cool.
Well, it's like, I think I've confessed to this before, but I don't mind confessing to it again. When I first saw the episode Descent, and you've got Data playing cards with Einstein and Newton and Stephen Hawking, I thought Stephen Hawking was a made-up scientist. like you know how sometimes they'll list off scientists and they'll invent one that lived in the 22nd century or something. Because I didn't know who Stephen Hawking was at the time. I thought, he must be someone that they're pretending. And then I found out who he was and was embarrassed.
No. You see, I mean, the only reason why I knew was because my brother was into science and my parents were, like, one was a chemist, one was a nurse. So I think they had kind of a bit of an interest in science and medicine.
There's a show I put on the night when I go to bed that I watch sort of my going to sleep show, and it's on YouTube, and it's Isaac Arthur's Science and Futurism. And I know all about Dyson spheres and intergalactic structures from watching that, and how you'd go about building them, and if we could yet or not.
Well, maybe we'll start that next year. We'll get us panel out of the way at SFW first, then we'll build the Dyson sphere.
Next on Retrick Model Studios. Next on Retrick Model Studios, Admiral Elliot builds an actual life-size Dyson sphere.
Yeah.
There's going to be quite a few clips on, quite a few episodes on that one.
Yeah, it might take a while, but we'll get there. Aren't we building? What were it we were going to build at SFW?
We want to build the longest telephone.
That's it. Yeah, we need to start thinking about that.
Yeah, we could. Because we set up the telephone between our and Roof Caravan.
I've heard the rumours. I never saw it.
Right. Well, we got there before them, so we set up a telephone. We broke through their window,
and it worked.
We didn't actually break the window, but we managed to open it, and we fitted them in with a telephone before they got there, so we could talk to each other. Because we used to when we were in Wales and lost all signal.
And we've looked up how long the world record is for the longest telephone.
It just happened that the world record was beaten the week before we were at the weekend, so it was fresh in my memory at the time.
So we think it's doable.
And what worked out nicely was when you put that between the caravans, someone had knitted a DeLorean with a pole, and they managed to go back to the future.
There you go.
So it all worked out.
So anyway, right. Back to Star Trek. We must concentrate. Boimler's got his first mission in charge, and I think this is quite charming, really, that he gets this thing of, oh, wait a minute, it's dangerous, right? So I'm going to have to do everything.
It's the Vulcan, isn't it? Trelan, is it?
T'Lyn.
T'Lyn, who puts that in his head because he's all up for the mission and all happy with having him thing. And then she points out that junior lieutenants normally die or get the crew killed on the first mission.
Yeah.
Isn't T'Lyn how you address someone as Linda in the North? T'Lyn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Sorry, anyway. Fuck, that joke wasn't worth it. Anyway, Elliot, you say something funny again.
But no, it is good how he's got this thing. I'm not going to put anybody in danger, and Boimler being Boimler, he overcompensates. But this is the beauty of Lower Decks, is that they actually do proper character development, because T'Lyn gives him a pep talk, and he realizes, no, I'm a lieutenant now. I do have to delegate, and I do have to take command.
This was what really did it for me, because, I thought when they were originally doing it, it is, I don't know, I felt like I'd seen that before with someone kind of just questioning themselves, trying to do everything. It felt a little silly, but then to have the heartfelt moment, it kind of it made it.
I did like his lesson he learned from it, though. Guys, it turns out I have to put you all in life-threatening danger.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's the lesson. That's Deanna Troy's commander's exam.
Yeah, to turn something so sort of silly earlier on the episode into something which is so relatable to so many of us, imposter syndrome. Especially a lot of us are in our 40s and 50s here, and a lot of our friends are, and that's when you start to go into management positions and stuff, and you do get that. You feel like, oh wow, I was one of the guys. You know what I mean? Though it's like there are more of us who go into more positions of responsibility. You've been a teacher, that's a position, quite a heavy position responsibility, and I think that kind of feeling of imposter syndrome is something that a lot of us get when we kind of move into those. I was just one of those guys last week, exactly as he said it. Just
could answer this question as an ex-teacher. Did you find that the kids preferred to be taught in porter cabins all the time?
Funny you should ask that, because I did actually teach in porter cabins while they decided to combine the school I was teaching at with another school. And so during the transition period, we did have porter cabins, and no, they were not incredibly fond of them.
Amazing. It's almost like she might have been lying in Parliament about kids telling her how they love being in porter cabins. compared to normal
who said
school.
this?
Well, they do prefer.
Gillian Keegan.
They prefer being in port. They prefer being in porta cabins at the minute because when you're in a porta cabin, you can take your hard hat off that you have to wear all the rest of the time in case the roof falls in.
Porta cabin's quite life roofing. If it's going to fall, you're going to be all right.
Exactly, it's the safest place to be. Okay, so the B plot then is the rest of them have to count these isolinear chips, and they discover that they have access to the anomaly storage room, which is, I will let it slide this time, but that is the ultimate lower decks. We just want to cram a load of references into the frame, so let's say we've got a room that has literally everything in it.
Lower decks is the only one who can do that, and it's like, but I also like the linear chip, the isolinear chip room, and the guy comes in and goes like, "Oh, sorry, I thought the button which was hidden down here was
the hidden button was obvious."
that was genius.
The secret button, And in this room, then, we do have the Betazoid gift box. We have the Waddy game. We have the probe from Inner Light. We have the Romulan cloaking device that Kirk and Spock steal.
It's really strange that all these things have been put on the Cerritos.
That is very odd.
And the Cerritos, after they've completed their current mission, are going to the Starfleet Museum to put them into storage. And that is a lower decks thing they'd get, a Cerritos kind of mission.
There was a meme going around, wasn't there, at one point, that actually it is a California class that is the flagship of the Federation. They just put all the reckless officers on, like, the Enterprise and tell them that it's the flagship.
Yeah, these are the actual sensible ones who you want to represent you rather than the crazy ones.
What I did really enjoy about this episode was that the captain got to be particularly clownish in this episode. I like the fact they give episodes where they just have the captain being shit. To
be fair, she says, like, she eventually calls Billups down, but her reasoning for actually solving this herself made perfect sense. She goes, I majored in ancient AI systems at Starfleet. This is what I majored in. She's probably the most qualified person on that ship or about to actually do this. That's probably why she's been sent on the mission in the first place.
But she's also, I think, a captain of the California class because she doesn't check if this does a restart before it reboots.
Yes, that's true.
I think that's where she fucked up. Like, it's like, it shouldn't do that.
Essentially, the plot is extremely simple in this episode. It's just the computer needs a restart. It goes a bit wrong. They fix it. But it's that character journey that we get for Boimler that makes it what it is.
Can I throw in another one? Just because it was one of my favorite moments of the episode was at the beginning. Jerry O'Connell as the first officer, Ransom. I really love the fact that, because, we all know these people who kind of like maybe aren't the most intellectual of the people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not insulting anyone. People are good in different ways. Some people are kind of more intellectual than others, and he's trying to be kind of true. But there's one thing that they're really clever at that they know everything about, and I love that. Like, I sort of love that about people. You can have someone who's sort of mocked sometimes for not being the most street smart, but then there'll be something they know everything about because everyone knows something about something. And the fact that Ransom wasn't knew everything about it, I was like, I thought that form was a bit clumsy, really. Was just so good.
What got me was, I don't know if it was obviously a piss take done deliberately, but there's like the three that he slags off.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're our best works on about them three. And the identical.
Yeah, I think that's a dig at modern art in general, isn't it? How people just look at a friend of mine went to one once and it was a step ladder, and that was it. And I was like, well, it's a step ladder. It just looks like the lads who've put the displays up and cleared the gear out of the room.
Yeah. Actually, that is what happened, and the guy got a grant.
Probably. I saw one once that was just a white bit of paper.
Yeah, it's just ludicrous, isn't it? I don't get some of it.
If you enjoy it, great. It's not for me.
I honestly think that it's a lot of people who want to show off to other people who want to be shown off to and show off. Who go, he's a white cloth, this is amazing, and they get told some bollocks about it. And they go, yeah, I see that. And then all the friends have got to go because they want to be hip and cool as well and all into this thing. You have to go, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the Emperor's New Clothes, effectively.
It reminds me of there's old.
It's the only thing that I can explain modern art in my head. That's the only way it works.
There was a video of John Lennon going to one of Yoko Ono's art exhibits, and there was this one exhibit which you have to sort of climb. You had to climb up a ladder, I think, and then you looked into this box, and in the box it just said yes in it. And he comes down and he's asked by the guy videoing it. So, what do you think of the artwork? He goes, oh, well, I like the fact it says yes. If it said no, I probably wouldn't have liked it so much. It's like, now that is a good husband. That is someone who will find any bullshit excuse to find a reason to like their partner's stuff. Well done, John. It was very obviously bullshit, but you tried. You tried, Alicia.
So Boimler does get killed, and we bring back possibly one of my favourite recurring motifs, which is the panda that greets
Koala.
you. Koala, sorry, Koala.
And did you recognise the room he was in?
No, go on.
That looked very much like Twin Peaks when they go into.
Do you think it was a reference?
If you look
to
at
that?
the floor, you've got the black and white floor, and the room looked very similar.
I've tried listening a couple of times, and my hearing's not as good as it used to be. What does the koala say to Boimler?
I think it's in reverse. You can't make it out. I think it's reversed because that's
that
something they did in Twin Peaks. They had a white, a black and white checked floor room with a window a bit similar to that, I think. But certainly
they didn't have a window.
And they had, well, then maybe they didn't have the window, but they had backwards speak as well. And it was I remember it's just a small box room.
If anyone watching does know what the koala said, please let us know.
Yeah, let us know what the koala said.
I think there's got to be someone online. As I say, I think it's backwards. There's got to be someone online who's reversed it. And I think it's going to be a clue to something later in the series.
Yeah. But I do love this idea that the koala governs the afterlife in Star Trek.
Well, they did.
I wonder if it's something like this is the second time you've cheated death.
Maybe.
Just the clue that Will Boimler's still alive.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I mean, it just reminded me of...
Because we know as the audience, but in Star Trek, the
True, yeah.
Another little very quick tangent, but in Star Trek... Red Dwarf, they did the episode backwards, and there's a scene with the comedian Arthur Smith in it.
Yeah.
Comedy Club, and he's like, it's all reversed. Someone did forward it, and what he's saying during it is like, and you idiots, you here. And I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the wanker at home who spent the time to record this and reverse it on their computer.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like early 90s computers, maybe. Like this would not be easy to do. Someone would have taken a lot of time to do that. Yeah.
No, that was really good.
Yeah. So I hope the koala's just insulting us, quite frankly.
I want to see the koala in live action. I think this is canon now that the koala guards the afterlife, and I think we need to see it.
Do you think
it's on screen?
Well, exactly.
Do you think the koala? Do you think the koala takes you to the great bird of the galaxy and thus?
It could do, yeah. And then the lieutenant tells him that he was traumatized by the Waddy game, and that's why he can't go near it. But it turns out that he was hazing him after all, and that's the payoff of the
Now, what gets me is that they've actually got away with hazing, and Mariner got hazed, which is like the shock of it all. Like she fell for
also. And Mariner, like we're going, it's like, isn't that one of the games where they say Alan Mashaka or something like she?
Yeah.
And then when Rutherford's in there, he's just like racing right through. Move along, yeah, whatever. Just like
I love that.
Yeah, I know.
Like within the canon, Rutherford must have read Cisco's logs, and that's how he knows effectively. He knows all the cheat codes. And I love the Waddy guy in the second shap, or the third shap, sorry, where it's the party. And he just looks so disappointed that he don't get to do all his shtick because Rutherford knows exactly what to do.
And when
he comes out,
open the door. Come on, hurry up.
And when he comes out and he grabs the sentient suitcase and he goes like, "Oh my god, I saw my whole life. Say goodbye to my wife for me." As he's been because he's been in the inner light device.
The inner light, yeah. No, really good fun episode. So shall we talk about Move Along Home then?
Oh, sorry. I think we've run out of time. Sorry. It's been great. Like, happy retrekking to everyone. We've been trekking this week.
Well, we don't. We've got 15 minutes.
All right then.
And it's not like we haven't overrun episodes.
Yes, you're not getting out of it. I actually have a soft spot for this episode.
Really.
I don't think this is anywhere near as bad as people say. I think it's just the Alan Moraine scene that's terrible.
I want to say something about this.
Go on.
Put the record straight. When we first started doing the Dominion War, I wanted to do this episode and you wouldn't let us.
You see? And I was very wise because now we get to speak about it here.
I mean,
I've added it into the Dominion War playlist though now.
That's reasonable because it is the first official contact with the Gamma Quadrant, and don't.
Okay, because it's the first one though, not because it's Gamma Quadrant. Otherwise, that really opens up. Which is
did they in Lower Decks at some point say that the Dominion wiped out the Waddy? Because that wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
No.
I feel did they not? I feel like we should have a joke about that at some point. It wouldn't surprise me if the Dominion killed them all.
On that archaeology episode.
I can't remember.
They were referencing that because we did talk about doing that for a minute, but there was another one which was larger in that episode. Because I mean, like you, Jim, I've got a soft spot for this one. Of course I have. And there is a lot of fun in it. But I must admit, this time especially, because I was watching it particularly and it was the only one I was watching as opposed to when Trek goes wrong, I was watching other ones. So I guess I was focused, but not as focused. But geez, man. I must admit, I see everything anyone's ever said about this episode in magnitude.
I mean, it's not the greatest. I mean,
Can we start right at the beginning where it initially goes wrong?
Yeah.
Right. Sisko, when he's talking about, it's really exciting. We've got the first contact with the species from the Gamma Quadrant coming through. The Vulcans sort of met them.
Yeah.
And now they're coming. So bear this in mind. Vulcans are the ones who have had contact with the Waddy.
Mm-hmm.
The Waddy say, games we've heard all about Quark. So the Vulcans been there with the Waddy. You have got to go to Quark's. His drinks, his holosuites.
That's a very good point.
I can make it work. I can make it work. They played Caldecott on the Vulcan ship, and they've gone, oh, we love games. They go, oh, well, there's this place called Quarks. Like, it's not for us, but you might like it. You seem very emotional. That's my justification. I'm going to say, though, that for me, it was the opening scene. It was like the fact that not only does Sisko once again show him to be the only responsible dad in Star Trek, but you also, in the same breath, right when he's knocking out the park, being concerned about his son, trying to explain how like first contact's a lot like making love to a beautiful woman, which sounds
he does do that.
But that's fine. But then, in the same breath, it's one of the earliest example of Ferengi racism from Sisko. He's going oh, the Ferengi boy. He's got a name, man. Look, your stuff.
And it's like,
you should not call anyone by their race. Like,
what does Sisko think that Nog's doing with these women? Like, you know, he's like, he's like, he probably does things with girls. Like, all right, Sisko.
Exactly. I mean, he should know. But it's the same as any young kid's friend who boasts about getting some. They're not. They're just not.
Well, exactly, yeah. So it's quite funny that Sisko gets all geared up for this first contact and the Waddy turn up and are just like, no, I like the way he goes, yes, take me to the games.
Yeah, I know. They introduced them in turn. Kira, this is Dad.
Yeah.
Bashir. It's like, yes. Games. And also, what I really love about this, because, I mean, this is better headcanon just because you can have some fun with yourself on these. But you've got Dax is in dress uniform. The joke is Bashir hasn't got his dress uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, we haven't seen a Bashir in dress uniform, which, let's face it, is the real reason why Kira isn't in dress uniform. But I like the idea. Like, Kira's just basically punked Sisko going, it's like, we don't bother with those dress uniforms just so she doesn't have to wear it.
The thing is that they'll have existing Starfleet dress uniforms from the wardrobe for next gen.
Of course.
It would have been an extra cost to make a uniform, especially for Kira.
Well, exactly. So it's cost versus we haven't established they've got a dress uniform.
Yeah.
I just love the idea, though. That it's like, Kira at this stage she would do anything to avoid dress uniform. So she isn't going to advertise the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
Whereas later on, where she's mellowed a bit, it's like, oh, fine, I'll follow fucking protocol.
I'll put it on.
Plus, Cisco's been to Beta so many times now. He must have picked up on it by now.
Well, she's also become that as a religious icon, and she will do anything for Cisco.
Yeah.
True too. It works canonically brilliantly.
I don't buy Bashir's excuse, like, oh, I can't have brought it with me. Well, replicate one then.
Yes.
That's what I thought straight away. Well, are all the replicators broke?
Well, let's face it, in these earlier series, O'Brien is fixing them every week.
He's already seen Garrick at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, could have got Garrick to make one for him.
And surely someone like Bashir, who's genetically modified, would have remembered his dress uniform.
Piece of piss, right. He forgot it, so he could show off that he had forgotten something. He was going to replicate it. But O'Brien said that these machines are down, and Garrick was out of cloth.
No,
yeah,
I think it's done deliberately to make him look more inferior. That he forgets things and
that's exactly it. And I think his idea was he was going to go, oh, I forgot it. Let me just replicate one. There was no one to replicate, and he just asked Garrick that morning because he's only just realised.
I'm not being funny, but a lieutenant straight out of Starfleet Academy on their first thing does not forget their dress uniform.
No,
they certainly shouldn't do.
It's a lovely bit of subterfuge from Bashir there.
Yeah. And it plays in nicely when you know that he's played subterfuge for several years and making himself look not as bright, as clever, and as amazing as he actually is.
It's like he keeps on going on about the pre-ganglionic fiber and the post-ganglionic nerve that he confused in the test.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Show off again. I made a mistake. Like if he had been top of his class, then that draws suspicion in second. It all works very nicely.
Yeah.
And the Quark then is the one who isn't diplomatic, and I love the fact that the Wadi are presenting him with these things that are precious to them, but Quark's just honest about it. He's just like, I don't want sticks. What are you gonna
I like that we've got these sticks, you can do all sorts with them. What?
Yeah, if they'd said it was a Ferengi ear cleaner, he would have been all over it.
Yeah, they tap them together.
They do tap them together, but yeah, you're right. They could have used it as an ear cleaner or a back scratcher, anyway. Quark don't want them, but he don't.
So you got that.
He don't mind.
And then they get the gems out, and
no, they gave him the drink next.
No, I said they get the drink and then the gems.
Yeah, the drink.
Yeah, but he gets the drink into there.
Yeah,
this is one of our greatest treasures, and he goes, one man's treasure is another man's garbage.
Yep. And I just like the fact that when they put the gems out on the table, this is a perfect example of it probably was fine in standard definition. Now on HG, it's so obviously costume jewelry gem. They are so obviously not anything.
Yeah.
It's just painful to, but again, on the cameras at the time, they would look fine.
Yeah, true. And when he gets the Dabo guy to cheat, it's like, could you make it look more obvious, Quark, when he passes him the thing and then he sort of he holds it back a second. It's like, you're so clearly telling him to fiddle it. Like, you're not even making this subtle now. But yeah, so it all leads to the Wadi set up their own game. And that's the setup of the episode. And Squee, you were saying about the point at which this happens.
No, not that which that happens. When you first get Cisco is the first one who wakes up in the game, and that is 13 minutes into the episode, almost a quarter of the episode. Like this is just a structural example of why this episode gets lambasted so much.
Well,
third the episode before you get into what you're going to be doing in the episode. That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like, there's part of this, and don't you find it odd that Cisco's in bed, which is fair enough, he's asleep when he gets moved in, but it immediately puts him into his uniform, which is fair enough because he's got into some sort of holosuite, as it turns out. Yeah, and then when he comes out, he's still in his uniform. Why hasn't he gone back into his pajamas?
Because the game transports you into it in your uniform. I think there's transport technology involved.
It must do. Yeah,
that's what I'm going with. Yeah.
And Bashir's thing where he's screaming and he goes, "Haven't you ever tried to wake yourself up from a nightmare by screaming?" No.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
There's so many things in this episode where they just say it and they expect you to just buy it.
Yeah.
Like the fact, I mean, we'll jump around this, we always do, but it's the fact that when they realize that the players are people, it's like, there's 4 of those and there's 4 of them. They don't look anything like them. They're not even colored like their outfits or uniforms or anything. They have no, like, if they color them like their uniforms, then they go, wait a minute, that, you notice all the people are missing, and you know, that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
And you've got a security officer who doesn't even bother checking the sensors to see where the guys are when no one shows up for duty.
You see, I knew one of you was going to say that thing about, they realise there's only 4 of them and somehow they magically... But
Go on.
I thought about it and I remembered, it's a good few years ago now, but I was playing a board game and I had one character and they got locked up in the board game and I was just minding my own business. News report comes on telly, Madeleine McCann's disappeared, and I was like, whoa.
Jesus Christ. Okay, of all the places I thought you were going, that was not it. Jesus.
I was very proud of that joke. I wrote that down.
No. Like, I laughed. I can't claim any moral high ground right now.
Plus, so also, anyway,
during the week, sorry, just very random, but like, I was showing someone how far I can move my arm up now, which is now up to about here, which isn't too bad.
Ooh.
But at the time, it was like up here, and they go, "You realise that's just a Nazi salute?" Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
So for anyone radio, my arm went perfectly into Nazi salute was the highest I could, and I just go, it's up here. It's up here. It's like, oh no, that angle's not good.
Yeah, when it gets to that angle, you've just got to sort of put it lower and say I can raise it slightly higher than that, but I won't.
It's about shoulder height. That's what I'm going to say. I won't show you.
Anyway, so I think it's perfectly reasonable for them to make that logic jump, honestly. Anyway, the Chandra and Alamarine then. I mean, it is notorious, rightly so. A bit I do enjoy is where Bashir thinks he's got it worked out and he turns and looks at him with this really cocky look on his face just before he smashes into the shield, which is pretty funny.
Now, I wonder about this as well. If this is another one where he knows he isn't doing exactly what she's doing.
Oh, maybe.
I like that.
He's following the steps, but he isn't doing the right. And he's super intelligent. He must. I am not doing exactly what she's doing, but I'm going to do enough to make it look like I've got it right.
Thank you, because I needed that. Because even when I was first watching this, when I loved this episode, I didn't question anything. Even then, I was going, no, he didn't do the movements. Like, you know, it was so...
No, he does the movements. He doesn't sing the rhyme.
Oh, sorry, he doesn't sing the rhyme. Whatever bit he doesn't do, it was obvious to me from the first watching that it's obvious what he's not doing. I think all the viewers felt it. I like that excuse. I like that.
What I do like about watching this, if you look at Kira is not impressed at after...
No, she's not. And the way she says the rhyme, it's so flat. She just count to 4. Whereas Cisco goes into this weird,
really
count to 4. Like, where does that voice come from, Cisco? Maroon, count to 4.
I wouldn't mind, but like at the time you just assume that's his singing voice. But then you hear him later in Vic Fontaine's, and he's got a brilliant singing voice. Like, why did he choose that one?
And then the next shap then is basically the bit out of Labyrinth where they get caught in a dance hall and they've got to work out. And anyway, it's drinking the drink.
Now the thing here, this place as well, it's like Bashir's watching them all and they're drinking and they keep offering them drinks and they're not taking it and they start getting poisoned. And Bashir, right, this is dangerous now to all of us. So immediately said, right, I've worked out, we need to drink this.
Nice, I'm liking this.
And this is why the Retrek podcast will never die in such a situation. Like, I went off it for a bit, but I'm back on it now, so we're all safe.
Yeah, we'd be like,
But
Rutherford, we could get straight through.
It's one of them things, as we're watching the older episodes, I'm actually thinking about Bashir is sort of masking the fact that he's highly intelligent at this point.
That's great. It makes
and I'm giving the writers and the producers and the showrunners credit that they knew where they were going right from the beginning with Bashir,
which we know for a fact they didn't.
But it doesn't matter. Now, Cisco, when they get out of this one, I think this is the point where Cisco's actually really getting into this, because he sort of slaps his hands together like they defeat the Shap, and then you just see Cisco go. Yeah, it's like, all right, you're loving it now.
Right.
Again, we would be the same. I mean, apart from the fact that we would go in there, down the drinks, go, right, how do we solve this one? And then the door opens, the guys go, oh. He'd be the same as Rutherford. He'd be going, oh, that's
yeah, they don't give us a drink, and we'd go, yeah, right, and what do we do here?
And we would be the same. We'd be like, a second ago, we were fearing for our lives. Then we're going, like, oh, what's next? I'm enjoying this now. We'd get into the puzzle of it. We would be exactly like that. I think is brilliant writing.
And people talk about Star Trek predicting communicators and iPads, and this is effectively an escape room. People pay good money to do stuff like this now. In fact, we're doing one on a week on Saturday.
So the extreme one.
I've no idea which one I'm doing.
I have to say, it's like, I might not be good for the handcuff one right at the moment.
That's what I asked for, was the more difficult one, but Bex is in charge, so I'll be told which one I'm doing.
I begged my sofa already, because me, you, and Deanie are on sofas.
Oh no, we're TBD. Have you not seen the updated one? We're TBD. We don't even know which house we're in, mate, at the minute.
Oh, I've been speaking to Becky. I've already begged which house I'm in.
So that's all right then. That's all right. Anyway,
me behind are you guys? Come on.
You've been allocated a house.
Oh well, yeah.
I got to choose my own.
Yeah,
I'm in the same one as you, Squee.
Yeah, I'll be in that one.
House. I chose that house.
That's all right. Are we in the big house?
I'm in the big house.
Sorry, this is really boring for anybody who isn't going to Sheffield who's listening. We'll sort out our domestic plans later. Anyway, so Quark does this thing where he begs not to have to choose, and it's very histrionic and over the top, and I quite enjoy it. It's a bit silly.
It's very Quark, though, isn't it, when he realizes, because Odo's looking down on him, and I wonder if Odo hadn't been there, would Quark have been quite as bothered about them dying with a bet on?
Maybe not. And I enjoy the fact that Odo sort of looks at the Waddy guy, and they're both just as if to say, like, he's overdoing it here. Like, they just share this look between them. It's brilliant. Like, whoa, which Monty Python film is it where the guy just goes, "What's an eccentric performance?" I think it's Benimir says it at some point.
It's when with the rabbit.
Yes.
With the rabbit, when it's going, it is going on about looking.
With nasty big pointed, and he goes, "What's an eccentric performance?" And it looks like that's what Odo's saying to the Waddy guy at this point.
We will not move along home. 'Tis a silly game.
Yeah. And right, it is a silly game because the final room is rubbish. It's just a cave. Like, that ruins it for me. I don't mind the Alan Rain room. I don't mind the drinks room, but the cave is pants.
That was Quark's shortcut out.
And we've also skipped over a very vital part of the episode. Again, it's one of my favorites, but it's like just a bit where Quark makes Odo blow on the dice. That is a lovely.
Yes, that's very good.
Classic them. Like, even though Quark, is genuinely worried for them, he still wants to bust Odo's gooey balls.
That's it. He gets one over on Odo despite everything. Yeah.
And by the way, every time you're now picturing Odo, gooey balls. Just saying. Just want to ruin it for everyone.
And that's about it, really, isn't it? It turns out it was all a game and they're all fine.
Here's your thing. Who was playing the game? Was it Quark or was it Cisco came with Bashir and Dax?
I think it's both. I think it's kind of like Nightmare, but you don't know that you're helping each other. I think Quark dictates. I think Quark dictates what the levels are and everything.
Which room and difficulty.
Yeah, but you're gambling on your players being good enough to overcome it for you.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, Nightmare's a really good thing, especially because he may not be blind facially, but he can't see what they're doing.
He can't see what they're doing. Yeah. I wonder if when the Waddy normally play it, like you get to pick who your 4 players will be.
I think it's always like this. It's always like
just random.
Grabs people because
then I reckon that there's different versions of the game. So that because obviously if you have the game and it's like we don't do the same escape room twice because there's no point.
There's not much point. Yeah.
Because
I also think
you might get 1 or 2 things, but you will remember basically where everything is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think there's different games where it's different levels, but I'm thinking the way they play it as well. I think there's some people. It's like when you play Trivial Pursuits. There's different house family rules. Like some people play it really strictly to the rules. Some people like, oh well, we'll like let you do this, that, or the other. Or we'll tell you this, that, and the other about the game. Like I think they're like, no, the original game involved not telling anyone who was going to be involved in the game that they were going to just randomly get picked from the game.
It'd be right.
More enlightened people, or most people who play it, I reckon, do go like, we're going to have 4 players who you won't know like what they're doing, but you can pick who it is, and you've got to get their consent. Whereas the original game didn't involve consent.
Wasn't it? Like, if you're like, right, I've got a big exam tomorrow, I need to get an early night sleep. Oh, they fucking put me in a game.
Yeah,
I imagine the play it like we go to escape rooms.
Yeah, I just think the consent of who's playing.
It's like what you said. It's ahead of its time, but we all play escape rooms now. Escape rooms don't exist at this point.
But we don't play escape rooms like you two won't go to bed tonight and then wake up and I'm like, hey lads, I've put you in this escape room. Come on.
No, that's what makes an escape room sore.
Let's see what happens next Saturday.
Can I also just a shout out to, and this is quite a on-running thing in the first couple of series of Deep Space Nine, is Quark does some shady shit which he never gets account for. Like there's the episode where he almost gets Dax killed by trying to do deal with Klingons.
That's a really bad episode.
Yeah, but at the end of this, it's like, right, you've brought a major security risk into the station through what your actions. You haven't vetted this game, you haven't checked it. It's drawing massive energy levels from the station. Like he has got so many questions to answer. They're going, no, Quark. Like that's the only answer to it. It's like, oh, negotiate doing this more. Let's not stop him. This wasn't too much of a ball ache for all of us.
It does cross the line sometimes, I think.
Hashtag Jake, not being sexist.
And this ties into what you said earlier on, which, the game doesn't start until a third of the way through the episode, which means that the episode wraps up and the Waddy just go, right, we're off. And it even shows the ship fucking off, right? Yeah. Like within 2 minutes of the game finishing.
Yeah. Right, we've had enough.
Yeah,
right,
the whole thing, like, there might be the bones of a concept in here, but nothing's explored, and they have so much time they wasted up front that they could have put into, again, like the thing of them figuring out the figures. They could have taken their time over that. They could have there could have been more reason why that happened. And that's...
I like stories where it's taking a bunch of characters and showing them solving things, but there's not enough of the actual solving in
things.
It. It could have been loads and loads of fun. As it is, I think it's okay. I think it's better than its reputation suggests.
I think it's one of those that I think we've all watched it probably a lot of times, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Years.
Oh, it's Spock's brain as far as I understand.
And it's one of those that it grows on you, that you do start to appreciate it.
And
I could happily watch it again.
It didn't even grow on me. Like the age at which I watched it is very relevant as well. It's the same as Spock's brain. I love that episode. I think it's so much fun, but it is objectively shit. I get why people say everything they say about it. The same thing with Move Along Home, and I will watch it happily. I remember I was joking about skipping over it at the end of this episode.
I really enjoyed my rewatch of it this week.
Yeah.
I think the only reason why
And I think if you can get that, if you enjoy watching something, it doesn't really matter what anyone else says about
No,
it.
of course not.
I mean, I think the only thing which took the bloom off the flower a little bit was I did watch it when we did Star Trek Goes Wrong. So I watched it fairly recently, and I watched it in a complete rewatch of Deep Space Nine recently. So I'm probably good to give it a bit of a break now, is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, give it 6 months and you'll love it again.
Maybe 2
Anyway,
years.
we'll wrap up there then. Next week, we'll be back with the next episode of Lower Decks, the next episode of Very Short Treks, and we'll see where all
episodes we'll join it with.
Absolutely. But in the meantime, you can get in touch with us. We're at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials. Elliot's got Retrek Model Studios on YouTube. What have we got going on there?
I'm still working on the flying sub. You'll find out in the next episode why it's taken a while. And I've got weekends away as well coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and get one out this Sunday, but I took several steps backwards. I had a fuck up.
Right.
In fact, no, I had 2 fuck-ups.
And I've got Kingy's Toy Box on YouTube, where we've just reviewed the first issue of Dungeons and Dragons Adventurer magazine with the nice set of dice that you get with it. Which is bending the rules a little bit, not quite a toy, but I wanted to talk about it, and it's my YouTube channel, so there you go. And Dr. Squee, what have we got going on the Dr. Squee show?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm in the middle of trying to arrange a few interviews and stuff at the moment. So it might be an interview. It might be me just playing music and having a laugh, which we did this week. And I played, because Ben Acre Ladies just released a new album, I did a sort of special on them this week. So yeah, might just do some music. We'll see. I don't know. It's been a bit of a time recently. So, it's quite fun to just have something which is a bit more off the cuff sometimes. But hopefully we'll get some more interviews. Some more interviews will come soon, is all I can say. But if not, we'll have a good time. Join us on Tuesday at 7 to 8, sw20radio.co.uk. And please make sure you subscribe to drsquee.com, where whenever I get interviews, the video version will go up there. Thank you.
Fantastic. And thanks for trekking with us this time. Go on, Elliot.
No, I was just saying, great.
Right.
Oh, and the one...
Go on.
Sorry, just because we haven't mentioned it before. In October, you've got Patrick Stewart's autobiography coming out.
Oh, yes.
Pre-order now.
Making It So, I believe it's called.
Sorry, I meant to mention it earlier.
And we will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
LLAP and drag off.
Fascinating.
Move along home.
Move along home, Alan Moraine.
Move along.